Hey everyone, this is Ben. In this video, let's create a simple chat app using WebSocket, JavaScript, and HTML. Let's get started. Alright, here I'm in this folder chat on my local Apache web server. First, open a terminal and open VS Code here. Alright. Create an index.html. Alright, a simple HTML page. In the body, create an input text. Give it an ID, message, and a placeholder. Alright. Next, create a button for send a message. And give it an ID, send. Alright, we can see a preview here on VS Code. First save it and open the quick open, Ctrl P, and use simple browser. Here we can enter the address. HTTP localhost/chat. Alright, here is the input and the button. Alright. Now, when this button is clicked, I want to send the value of this input text to a WebSocket. Here I create a script tag and get the elements. First, message input, and use document.getElement by ID message. Do the same for the send button, btn send. Send. Alright, now here we need a WebSocket to send the value of this input to it. Const my WebSocket and use new WebSocket, and here enter the address of the WebSocket. Now we need to create a WebSocket.Server. Let's create it. I go to the home, and here create a folder, backend. Open another VS Code here. Alright, I want to create my WebSocket server using server-side JavaScript. So I create a JS file here, Server.js. Please note that this JavaScript is different from this. This runs in browsers or client-side, while this is server-side JavaScript, and to run it, we need Node. For example, if I console like a hi here and save it, to run it, I open a new terminal and run node whitespace and the file name server.js. Alright. Node or Node.js is actually a runtime environment that you need to install it on your server. You can easily download and install it from its website. Anyway, let's create our WebSockets server. First, create a const WebSocket and use WebSocket package. Require WS. Alright, this is a WebSocket package and we need to install it. Open a new terminal and run npm install WS. Alright, it's installed here. Now we can use it. Next, create another const server and use new the WebSocket package dot server and create an object and define a host name for our WebSocket. I use localhost. This will be used as the address of the WebSocket. Next, define a port number. Here I use 3600, or I can change it to 4600. Technically, you can use any free TCP port on your server between 0 and 65,535. Next, we need to handle connections to our WebSocket. Use the server dot on connection get the socket now handle messages to the socket. Use socket dot on message. Get the message and display it. Use console log to display it. Alright, but we need to convert it to string because it is a buffer object. Alright. And also a console log here to see when a new client connects to our socket. Console log, someone is connected. And another one here for when the server is started. Console log and server is ready. Alright, our WebSocket is ready. Now we can run it. Save it. Open a new terminal and run node server.js. Alright, our server is ready. Now let's connect to it using this hostname and this port. Let's go back to the HTML page. Alright. And here enter the address of the WebSockets server. WS / localhost, another colon, and the port number 4600. Next, when the send button is clicked, send the value of the message input to the WebSocket. btn send dot add event listener, click, my WebSocket dot send the message input dot value. All right, let's check it. Save it. All right, let me put this here and all right. The server is ready. And refresh this page. Done. Someone is connected. Now we can send message. Hi and send. Alright, it works. And another message and send. Now I want to send a message from the server and receive it here on the client side. First, we need to get input text from here and then send it to clients. Alright, to get the input, we can use process.stdin dot on data. Get the data. First, let's log it in console to see how it is. Alright. Save it. And run the server again. I use Ctrl+C to stop it and run it again, not Server.js. Alright, now if I enter a text here and hit the enter, you can see that it is logged, but it is a buffer object. So we need to convert it to string. Here use dot to string method. Save it and run the server again. Enter text. Alright, we have the input and we just need to send it to client. And now we need to get the client. To get the client, here after the connection is established, I put the socket in a global variable. Here I create a global variable, client, and put the socket here. Now we can send message to it. Alright, here use the client dot send and put data dot to string here. Alright, but because we hit the enter key to send the message in the terminal, a new line character will be added at the end of the string. So I use the trim method to trim the new line character. Remove the console log. Save it. Run the server again. Now if I enter a text here and hit the enter, it will be sent to the client. Now let's receive it on the client side. Go back to the HTML page. First, I create a container for messages here. I create a div with ID chat box. And here, define a const chat box and get the element. All right. Next, add an event listener to the WebSocket for messages. My WebSocket dot add event listener message. Get the server message and add it to the chat box. Chat box dot enter HTML, append the div to it, and the server message, the data, and close the div. Alright, save it, and let's check it. Let me put this here, and refresh the page. Client to the server, and server to the client. Hello client. You can see it received here. Now let's make it like a conversation. I mean display both client and server messages here. But first, let's add some styles to our chat box. A style tag, and for the chat box ID, width 200 pixels and height 100 pixels, border 2 pixels, gray, and padding 1 rem. And to make it like conversations, I use display flex and flex direction column. Alright, save it, and okay. Next, when the send button is clicked and the message was sent to the server, add the message to the chat box like this. But here, instead of this, use the message input dot value. Save it and refresh the page. Message from client. Alright, messages are in the column. And from the server. Alright, but I want the client messages to be on right side and the server messages on left. To do that, we need to define class for the message elements. A class for admin messages and for client. Alright. Here, create the classes. .admin, align self, flex start or left, background color, blue, and text color, white, padding, half rem, and a margin, half rem. Alright. And for the clients, duplicate this. Alright, change it to client. And flex start to end. And background color, brown. Alright, save it and refresh the page. Client messages on right side with brown background, and server messages on left and blue background. But here we have a problem. To fix that, we need to handle the containers overflows. So in the chat box, I use overflow scroll. Save it and refresh the page. And alright. But I want the container to scroll down when a new message is added. To do that, here on new message, set chat box, scroll top to the chat box, scroll height. And also do the same here when the client sends a message. Alright, and also after the message is sent, clear the input text. When the send button is clicked, set the message input that value to empty. But remember, set it to empty after the message is sent. Alright, save it. Refresh the page. And done. And I also want the user to be able to send message by hitting the enter in addition to the send button. Alright, to do that, here, add an event listener to the message input, key up. Get the event, and here check if the event dot key equals enter, then run this function. But to avoid repetition, I cut it and create a const send message and paste it. Alright. Then I can pass it to the send button's click event listener. And also run it here when the enter key is pressed. But here, to run it as a function, we need parentheses. Alright, save it. And refresh the page. Client to server by hitting the enter, and server to client. Alright. Now let's see it outside VS Code. First, we need to run the server. Here I'm on the backend folder, and here is the server.js. Open a terminal here and run the server. Note server.js. But it can't be run because address already in use, and it actually in use here in the VS Code. We need to stop it here and run it again. Alright, server is ready. Now let's open the HTML page or the client side. Open a Chrome. Alright. Localhost/chat. Alright, someone is connected. Send the message to server. Now let me show you the connections. Open DevTools and go to the Network tab, active all or WebSockets, and the connections will appear here. And let me refresh the page. And here is the WebSocket connection. And if I click on it, I can see the messages here. Send a message from server to client. You can see the message here. Alright. And from client to server. Alright. And if you want to see only WebSocket connections, click on WS or WebSocket. And all for all connections. And this is for when we first loaded the page. Alright. And the links to the source code of the HTML page and the server are in the caption.